Hello, everyone. Good day from Bali, Indonesia. I hope you are all okay today. Um, my name is Eva van der Ploeg. I'm originally from the Netherlands, but I have been living in Indonesia for a couple of years. I have been working with people with dementia and their carers, both informal and professional, for around a decade, I think a bit longer now. And I specialize in Montessori method and mindfulness when we work with our people with dementia or interact with our people with dementia. Uh, Now, for today, I've been asked by ADI to talk a little bit about mindfulness, especially in relationship to COVID and self-isolating. So thanks so much for the invitation. I'll start with a little body scan. If you don't want to do this, please bear with me. It will take only 1 or 2 minutes. And if you're happy to join, make sure you're seated comfortably, or if you'd like to lie down, which I usually prefer to do, go ahead, no one can see you. So make yourself super comfortable. And usually it helps to close your eyes. If you're not comfortable with that, please just stare somewhere on your desk or just one point and try not to move your eyes too much. And once you're comfortable, you could start by bringing your attention to your breath. You don't have to change your breath. You can just notice how the air flows in and out. If it's fast or slow, and it's all good. It doesn't have to be a particular way. But if you do feel like having a good sigh or taking a couple of deeper breaths, you can do it now. So breathe in and out. And in through the nose and out through your mouth. And one more time. And then bring your attention down to your heart. You may want to put 1 or 2 of your hands on top of your heart. Just see if you can feel your heart beating. And again, just notice if it's slow or fast. If it's louder than you thought it may be or not. And it's all okay. And then bring your bring your attention all the way down to your feet. Just briefly focus on your feet touching the ground. Are they warm? Are they cold? And move up to your ankles, the back of your legs, lower legs, knees, and the whole of your upper legs. Notice where your legs are touching the floor or your seat. And maybe you feel the pressure of your hands if you put your hands in your lap. Now, if your attention's drifting, that's okay. Slowly bring your awareness back to my voice and follow what we're doing. Now bring your attention to your tummy. And again, if you like, you can put your hand on your tummy. Maybe low on the tummy. And see if you can feel or bring your breath down to your hands. This is a technique that can really help you to feel less agitated in moments that you may need it. Bring your attention to your lower back, your upper back, your shoulders. Notice any tension, and again, you don't have to change it. It's okay. Just observe. Feel both your arms, lower arms as well, hands and fingers. My fingers are a bit cold. How about yours? And we go back up to our chest. Study for a moment how your chest is feeling. Again, there can be some heaviness at the moment. Up the neck and then your face. And feel all those little muscles in your face. In your cheek, your jaw, tongue, around your eyes, forehead, and then up through the crown of your head. And from there, try to feel the whole of your body again. And then slowly, slowly open your eyes and come back to whatever space you're in at the moment. I'll give you a brief moment to settle back in. And then we continue with the presentation. Next slide, please. So what I'll be talking about today, as I mentioned before, is how can mindfulness help us during these really challenging times? Mindfulness was developed by John Kabat-Zinn. And he basically, well, I'm going to get into that later. I'm sorry about that. Let's first talk about what our automatic responses probably have been since we've heard or experienced COVID in the last couple of weeks. I think for a lot of people, the instant reaction has been either one of two, and that's either an immediate, really strong negative evaluation of the situation, or as some might have experienced, there's been some initial denial saying it's not much more than a common flu. And then later people realized maybe something else was going on, and this could have resulted in feelings of guilt and fear. Now I'm following here the mindfulness attitudes. You can see those on the left. And this, what I just mentioned, is all part of a non-judging. It's the opposite. It's a judging reflex to the current situation. And an example of this, of course, is saying this is horrible. This is the worst thing that could have happened. Another mindfulness attitude is patience. And again, the thing we usually do when we feel so overwhelmed as we do is we may get stuck in the now in a not so positive way. And we project this new reality immediately onto the future. So not only do we feel stuck in a very negative evaluated situation, we also feel that this could go on and on forever. And an example of what we might think or feel is, I really want this to end right now. The next mindful attitude is beginner's mind. And this means if we do the opposite of using a beginner's mind, everything we learn about other places and previous events, we will apply to ourselves. Now, we all know there's so much social and other media out there sharing so many experiences, and all of those experiences are true, but they're not true for you yet. But things we may feel is, oh my goodness, my country will be the next China or Italy. Or for people from lower and middle income countries, maybe we say, oh, my government will not respond accurately like we have seen in the past. So again, we bring a whole lot to what we are already feeling. And then there's trust. And I think for everyone, their initial response is fear. Either we admit it or not, or we express it or not, but I think everyone has felt fear. And in that moment, and I think from the beginning until now, most of us don't know who or what to trust, which kind of news, what kind of scenarios, we don't know. And examples of this feeling or this attitude, not following this attitude yet, is it will only get worse from here, and even the end of the world has come. I haven't heard anyone say that, by the way, but I'm sure fears like that are out there. Another mindfulness attitude is non-striving. And I think, or what I've seen from a lot of people, including myself, the minute we lose control, we actually latch on to the things we know and we do. So we'll have an even stronger, almost obligation that we have to do what we've always been doing, and we have to do it well, and we should be able to deal with this situation. And the last two mindful attitudes, I grouped them together because for me they're super similar: acceptance and letting it be. I think, again, a really reasonable automatic response to the current situation is resistance. I want this to stop. I want to go back how life was in February. Now, next slide, please. Sorry, I pushed the button myself. These responses are really understandable and mostly appropriate as well. But the question I would like to ask you, is it helping you, or is it adding to the stress you already feel? Next slide, please. I've just added this slide for everyone's reference, so I'm not going to go through all the items, but I found this overview really helpful in kind of seeing confirmed that the things you may be feeling are really normal considering the situation. So please have a read through those if you've experienced anything that scared you more in relation to the current situation. Next slide. Now, what I want to be talking about in more detail is how can mindfulness help us? Now, mindfulness has a word, its own verb, which is called awarenessing. And this means you're going almost to take a step back and observing what you're doing instead of kind of getting caught up in all your judgments, your feelings, your thoughts, or the media. It's taking a step back and seeing what's going on for you, yourself, in your mind. And then mostly parking it. Let me go through it one by one for all the attitudes. So for the non-judging, it's, like I said, observing the judgments you feel in response to this situation, your thoughts, your emotions. And then there's an invitation from mindfulness to park those, to see them as they are. They are a judgment, they are a thought, they are an emotion. They're not a reality. They're not all of you, they're part of you. So what you could say, for example, is that I am really upset by what happened. I feel uncertain about the future, but even now, I see both good and bad things are happening in the world. So the situation has changed, but in another way it hasn't changed. There's still good and bad. Then if we look at patience, again, acknowledge that what is happening is really hard and threatening, but we do not know what it will lead to, right? So any future horror scenarios that you read about, you hear about, or that just spring to mind spontaneously, let them pass. Nobody knows what next year will bring, or even what tomorrow will bring. And let's be honest, that's true for every single day of our lives. But right now it's become even more relevant to realize that we just don't know. And I'll get back to that a little bit later. Now, from the beginner's mind, I find this one is really hard to apply at this moment. And it's hard to apply because of that overload of information, news, opinions, feelings of other people. And I don't suggest people, stop collecting information, but just to pace themselves, to only use really reliable sources. I know the ADI website has a page specifically allocated to that, which is really helpful. Always stop when you feel overwhelmed. Observe that feeling of being overwhelmed and stop yourself right there, and you can come back at another time. And keep comparing your own reality closely to all that input. You may have read a horrible story, but this may not have happened for you yet. You don't know. And I think another really good thing that really helps from the beginner's mind attitude that, if you have a difficult day today because you are alone or you are stuck again with your family, feelings like that, Don't use the word again. Start new tomorrow. You know, today is today. It was not an easy day. That's okay. I don't have to bring those feelings to tomorrow. I can try to start again. Hey, and if it's not as easy as it sounds, that's fine as well. Now, trust. I think with COVID, we have a huge trust issue at the moment, right? Because it all feels so overwhelming and scary. But we don't know at this moment in time if there's some other meaning to it. And I don't mean to disregard it. The things are happening are horrible, but we don't know where it leads to. And I've put some examples. Communities come to life. A lot of shortcomings, things that are not right in the world at this moment are being exposed, and we cannot ignore them anymore. People connect. I cannot get those images out of my head of people singing on balconies or doing exercise in the street, and probably connecting with people that they've seen every day of their lives, but never even spoken to. And then, nature seems to thrive in such a short period only. We hear about clearer waters, clearer skies, birds start singing again in China. There is a message of hope there. Another thing to trust in is the meaning of emotions. I had a good conversation with a friend of me about this, that we said, hey, we've come so used to labeling emotions as either positive or negative, but there's no such thing. All emotions are in a way positive. They all have a meaning. If you feel fear, it is because either you are in danger or you feel overwhelmed. And you need to remove yourself from that situation. For example, in this case, you need to stop reading all those stories. Anger. I think a lot of us are experiencing quite unexpected angry outbursts. And this is telling the other person that, hey, it's too much in this moment. Please let me be. I can't handle this right now. And sadness of course asks for, hey, I need a virtual shoulder, hand around my shoulder. I need a hug. I need help. And the last thing to trust in is a really honest, I don't know, we don't know, nobody knows. And again, this is true for every single day of our lives, but it seems more relevant at this moment. We don't know what it leads to. We don't know what's actually happening with that overload of information. The only thing is we do know is that we don't really know. Now, if we look at non-striving, I think the most important thing at the moment is to look after yourselves. And I don't mean that in an egocentric way. I mean it in a social way as well. Once you've looked after yourself, you'll be much better able to look after other people. And I'll give you a couple of things as hopefully inspirational that you can think about of how to look after yourself. The last one, acceptance and let it be. Try to not fight what's happening. It is our reality already. It is happening, including all your judgments and your thoughts and your strong emotions and media input. It's all there. Try not to let those things add to how you're feeling. Just observe them. They are not you. They are happening, but they don't have to impact on how you feel overall or how you behave. Next slide, please. Now, I think this has been covered extensively, both by ADI during the webinar, as well as in other media. So I will only briefly touch on those things that I feel may have a little bit. Yeah, so for me, it really works to make a plan, but then also to maybe let go of that plan. And I make a daily plan. I don't make weekly plans anymore or monthly plans, just a plan for today. And then we'll see what actually transpires. And of course, there are certain, especially work tasks that may need to be done. So there's a bit of less possibility there to go with the flow. And I think if you tend to overwork, so the advice of sleep well, we've all seen, but if you tend to overwork, it will really help to set very clear times for your work and sleep and really stick to those. Another thing, and this is really personal, what helps me is to write down things. For other people, it may be just to talk to someone and bounce off someone else. It's just a way of getting things out of your head, and either on paper or you've spoken it and it's out at least. And I found this really helpful, to Google the opposite of what you are fearing. You know, at this moment, like I said, we really don't know. And you can find proof online or wherever for everything, from the most scary scenarios to this will lead to a better world eventually. So Google the thing that's opposite of what you fear and see what you may find. Next slide. Now, spoil yourself, and after that you can spoil others, or you may do it at the same time. On the left, there are some things that I enjoy doing. I won't go through all of them. I think the main message from me, and this is really coming from the Montessori method that I'm working with, is think small. We tend to think of really big things to do to engage us. It's all in the small things. And I've put there spending time with my 3-year-old. And I think anyone who has children or knows children, have a Skype, a FaceTime or whatever with a 3-year-old or an older child, and let them take the lead. And it will take you really out of your own mindset. You'll forget about it. And then on the right side, I put some things that I found really pleasant to see on social media, what people were doing, taking photos of their environment. So looking at their environment in a really different way, having dinner while Zooming or lunch. I heard people doing online escape rooms with people in different countries or cities. So this is just to inspire you. Of course, you know, everybody has their own hobbies and things they like. Next slide, please. And this is another thing to be really mindful of. I think communication is key. And we have to ask each other and ourselves, how can we help each other? And I think we need to constantly remind ourselves that everyone's shaking as much as you are. The person who acts confident as well. You know, this is a situation that nobody has experienced before. And humans are not designed to deal with that. I think in longer time, we'll get better at it. And that means everyone has more frequent and more intense off days as well. And you may as well, if you're the one having the off day, share it with your loved ones or anyone you may be speaking to. Hey, today is not a super good day for me, but I still wanted to speak with you. And I think try not to share any panic through forwarding fake news and horror scenarios. I'm sure most of you are not doing this, but I have received some really panicked messages with referrals to a lot of articles that I really did not want to read on that particular day and ever really. I want to choose my own moments, and I think everybody shares that preference at the moment. And like I said before, please do share your emotions before you acted out on them. Do say, I feel panic, I'm afraid, I'm down, upset, or hey, today I'm really happy, and that feels a bit wrong because, you know, it's all good. And ask help, you are not alone. But always check each other's state of mind. Is this a good day for me to share and for them to listen to you as well? And as the listener, just ask how you can help. Maybe it's not necessary to give any advice. Maybe somebody just wants to vent, and it's good. And if you'd like to share also, please ask if you can. Next slide, please. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn how to surf. From John Kabat-Zinn. Please, if you'd like to contact me, please do. You can vent or brainstorm with me together. If you have a specific question, please ask me. Or if you'd like to receive another short spoken meditation, or always can go back to the one at the beginning of this video. You can. My email address is on the right bottom of this slide. Thank you very much for listening to me, and be in touch if you like.